I'm Azlani. Welcome to Updates at Noon. Perak will review its policy on the selling and consumption of alcohol in the state. Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Ahmad Faizal Azumu said the state would consider several factors before making a decision. This ban, consumers might then seek illegal liquor.
It's a serious matter. Akhirnya saya percaya kalau kita nak hapuskan terus tak mudah. Tetapi yang paling penting ialah untuk mendidik juga kepada orang ramai. Kita perlu sentiasa bercakap tentang perkara ini bahawa apa juga kita lakukan mesti kita berlakukan dengan penuh tanggungjawab. If you want to drink, drink responsibly. You don't drink and drive.
Met by reporters in Ipoh yesterday, Datuk Seri Ahmad Faizal said the state shared the same opinion as the public regarding reckless drink driving accidents. On Monday, a car accessory shop assistant was charged in the magistrate's court with drink driving after he allegedly rammed onto motorcyclist Muhammad Zaili Muhammad, 43, causing his death. The accused, Ho Yong Jiang, 21, pleaded not guilty. A total of 22 accidents involving drunk drivers were reported during the first 5 months of this year. Of that, 9 fatalities and 13 injuries were reported. Also, during the same period, 882 people were arrested on suspicion of driving under the influence of alcohol. Bukit Aman Traffic Investigation and Enforcement Department JSPT Director Dato' Azizman Alias in a statement said those who were arrested between January and May comprised of those from age 15 to 41 years old. Of the 22 reported cases, 12 were still under investigation while another 10 had been indicted in court. He said they were investigated under Section 45A of the Road Transport Act 1987. He noted that the police will increase operations against drunk drivers nationwide. The actions taken by the government, including declaring the Movement Control Order (MCO) under the Prevention and Control of Infectious Diseases Act 1988 or Act 342, have succeeded in levelling the curve of COVID-19 positive cases in the country. Health Director General Datuk Dr. Noor Hisham Abdullah said although many were uncertain of the methods used by the government, including controlling the country's borders, it has proven to be effective, even defeating JP Morgan's projection on the cumulative COVID-19 case in Malaysia. COVID-19 and kept abreast of the latest developments in the new virus. During the interview, Datuk Saifuddin expressed his gratitude to Datuk Dr. Noor Hisham, whom he described as a walking encyclopedia, working hard together with all the health and frontline forces in the fight against COVID-19. All 35 government officers, including Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, who were ordered to undergo mandatory self-quarantine after they were found to be in close contact with an officer who tested positive for COVID-19, have been allowed to go to their respective offices to resume work starting today. Health Director General Datuk Dr. Noor Hisham Abdullah said all of them have completed their mandatory 14-day quarantine, which started on 21st May.
We have taken the swab. All the post-cap members are negative. So tomorrow they will resume, back to the normal work in the office, etc. So far it's a very positive response. None of them are positive.
On the officer who tested positive for COVID-19, Datuk Dr. Noor Hisham said even the officer's condition was reported to be improving and swab results showed negative. He said this at the Health Ministry's daily COVID-19 briefing yesterday. Temperature screening before entering the school compound and eating in classroom during recess time are among new normal practices that students need to adapt when schools reopen. Education Minister Dr. Muhammad Razi Majidin said the guidelines stipulated that teachers must carry out body temperature checks when the students enter the school compound, and if they showed any symptoms, then further action should be taken. The school reopening management guidelines will be distributed today to allow schools and teachers to make appropriate preparations. The minister said these guidelines were issued to see which methods needs to be done in the context of school reopening and proper preparations to ensure the schools are prepared when the government announced the school reopening date. Dr. Muhammad Razi said this after a visit to oversee preparation for school reopening at Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan Engku Hussein, Semenyih in Kajang, Selangor. Also present were Health Director General Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah, MKN Director General Muhammad Rabin Basir and Education Director General Dr. Habibah Abdul Rahim. Dr. Muhammad Razi said the State Education Department and the District Education Officers would play an important role in monitoring schools to ensure compliance with guidelines set. Meanwhile, he said parents should not worry about sending their children to school, but they should play a part in educating their children to regularly practice social distancing. Asked on the date for reopening of school session, he stressed that there was no set date yet and he worked closely with MOH and MKN to decide on the matter. Childcare centres are now allowed to resume operations by complying with the guidelines on prevention of COVID-19 infection post-movement control order for safety at childcare centres. Women, Family and Community Development Minister Datuk Sri Rina Harun in a statement issued said the guidelines which were approved by the Health Ministry had been improved taking into account the views of the various parties and for the well-being of those involved. She said the guidelines encompass the overall operation of the childcare centres from preparation to reopen them until after the end of their daily session. Operators of the childcare centres are advised to consult the nearest district health office for verification before they start their operation. It is hoped that the reopening of the childcare centres will be a relief to working parents who are affected by their closure due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the MCO. To ensure compliance by the operators with the Standard Operating Procedure SOP, Datuk Sri Rina Harun said the Social Welfare Department and the Health Ministry will conduct checks on the childcare centres from time to time. The Pulau Pinang chapter of the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC received a report against a former minister and the former Attorney General over alleged abuse of power when they were in the government. The report was lodged by social activist Mohsen Abdul Latif at the Pulau Pinang MACC headquarters in Jalan Sultan Ahmad Shah in Georgetown. Mohsen said after reading the letter which went viral on Tuesday, he is of the opinion that the decision made by the former Attorney General was indeed influenced by the former minister. Hence, he made the report to urge the MACC to investigate whether or not there was an abuse of power in the case. Pulau Pinang MACC Director Lim Bee Kian also confirmed receiving the report. Coming up next, wet markets must be cleaned before they are allowed to reopen. The Federal Territories Ministry and Kuala Lumpur City Hall DBKL will be tabling the SOP for the reopening of stalls and open markets under the Conditional Movement Control Order CMCO to the National Security Council MKN. Its Minister Tan Sri Anwar Musa said DBKL will assess the level of cleanliness and ensure that the infrastructure facilities at over 70 hawker areas and open markets around the capital city are functioning properly before they are allowed to reopen.
Hari Sabtu ada meeting, kita akan bentangkan satu cadangan bagaimana penjaja-penjaja yang masih belum dibenarkan berniaga termasuk pasar-pasar terbuka, pasar harian boleh mula berniaga. Ya. Tapi tidaklah bermakna kita akan buka terus free for all, balik semula pada cara yang lama, itu tidak boleh. Ya. Jadi kita ikhtiarkan dan kita ada satu garis panduan tertentu.
In a Facebook live streaming, he said any hawker and open market sites found to be filthy and the facilities damaged would be given 2 weeks to undertake cleaning and repair works. He also added that certain guidelines would be introduced to give the capital city a clean image and to ensure that daily markets and hawkers operate in clean and safe surroundings. Forum Air Malaysia pleads water supply operators in the country to consider making provisions that enable consumers to pay outstanding bill amounts by instalments. Its president, Saral James Maniam, said it is vital to help lessen the burden of consumers who have either lost their jobs or did not receive their salary during the movement control order period. In a In a statement, she also called on all the water operators to immediately adopt the National Water Services Commission (SPAN) guidelines on water bill calculation to rectify the overcharged consumers. She said this in response to the many complaints they receive on water bill hikes based on approximated calculation made by water supply operators, resulting on charges of more than double, and some were up to 10 times for the month of May, which comprised March and April bill adjustments. Consumers are also reminded to proactively monitor the water usage and play a part by being water smart. She also hoped that SPAN and all water supply operators would come out with a fast and reasonable solution and ensure that such occurrences do not repeat in the future. A total of 109,617 sijil pelajaran Malaysia SPM 2019 school leavers have been offered places at public higher education institutions (IPTAs) to pursue further studies for the 2020-2021 academic session. The Higher Education Ministry (KPT) in a statement said the official offer letters will be issued by the related IPTAs to the successful candidates from today onwards. Candidates are required to confirm their acceptance within 5 days or latest by 8 June. The students have been offered places at public universities, UA, Institute of Teacher Education, IPG, matriculation colleges, KM, polytechnics, community colleges and public skills training institutes, ILKA. The studies offered are at certificate or foundation or matriculation or diploma levels, apart from intake for the Bachelor's Degree Teachers Training Program, PISMP, and the Architecture Degree Program at University Technology Mara, UITM. The acceptance, confirmation letter and offer letter can be printed out through the website of the respective IPTAs. Registration of new students would commence from 5th June until 4th January 2021, depending on the respective IPTAs. According to the ministry, student recruitment is based on meritocratic principle, and by this, all eligible candidates who achieve at the highest level, regardless of race, religion, state, standard of living and place of residence, are given the opportunity to study at the IPTAs. It added that no quota system is used as the system has been abolished since the 2002-2003 academic intake. While private higher education institutions, IPTS, which had ceased temporarily its international students recruitment following the worldwide lockdown and travel restrictions imposed to curb the spread of COVID-19 pandemic, are facing precarious situation. According to Dr. Pramjit Singh, President of Malaysian Association of Private Colleges and Universities, the stimulus package introduced by the government earlier did not focus on IPTS.
It's important to recognize that private education is self-funding. It has never been aided by the government, and it was never considered under the stimulus packages. Very moment for the next 5 to 6 months, this industry needs a boost, and it needs a boost to be able to operate and to bring the students back, particularly international students.
Recently, Finance Minister Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz had also mentioned that the nation's higher learning institutions face huge challenges due to the restrictions to attract foreign students. Still ahead, Brazil reports a record 1,349 virus deaths in 24 hours. Torrential rains brought by Cyclone Nisarga have left 13 people dead, dozens injured and washed away numerous homes in eastern Yemen, according to a government official on Wednesday. The official said that 5 children were among the provisional death toll in the Hadramaut province, which has been lashed by downpours over the past 3 days. The official, who requested anonymity, added that dozens of houses were also destroyed in the rains, particularly near valleys. The cyclone formed in the Arabian Sea and reached India's west coast on Wednesday, killing 2 people in the western state of Maharashtra. Mumbai is the capital of Maharashtra, and the cyclone was the first severe storm to threaten India's financial capital in more than 70 years. The eye of the storm narrowly missed the city, while nearby coastal areas to the south bore the brunt. The extent of the damage is still being assessed. Officials moved tens of thousands of people along the coast to higher ground as the storm approached. India's most populous city has 20 million residents and has also been badly hit by the coronavirus pandemic. Meanwhile, wrecked by 5 years of war which has killed tens of thousands of people, Yemen is considered the world's worst humanitarian crisis. Brazil reported a record 1,349 coronavirus deaths in a 24-hour period on Wednesday, the health ministry said, as the pandemic continued to take a grim toll on Latin America's hardest-hit country. The figure brought the total death toll from the new coronavirus in Brazil to 32,548, with 584,016 confirmed infections, the second highest caseload worldwide after the United States. Experts said under-testing in the country of 210 million people means the real numbers are probably much higher. The figures come as some Brazilian states began to emerge from weeks of economically stifling quarantine measures despite warnings from the WHO and epidemiologists. Sao Paulo state on Tuesday recorded its highest daily figures for both deaths and infections on the day when cities across the state began reopening shopping malls and offices. Sao Paulo now has a total of nearly 120,000 cases with almost 8,000 deaths. More than 6.4 million coronavirus cases have been confirmed around the world, according to data from Johns Hopkins University. More than 381,000 people have died, including some 106,000 in the US. More than 2.7 million have recovered from the disease. Former US President Barack Obama on Wednesday applauded the profound protests by Americans demanding racial justice and said demonstrations over last week's killing of a black man in police custody could spark nationwide reforms. In his first video comments since George Floyd's death on 25th May in Minneapolis triggered unrest across the country, President Donald Trump's predecessor also urged state and local authorities to review their policies on use of force. Directed his comments at young black men and women who he said have often witnessed or experienced too much violence. He also said that in the last few weeks, Americans have witnessed the kinds of epic changes and events in the country that are as profound as anything that he had seen in his lifetime. The 58-year-old, who remains popular among Democrats, noted the deadly upheaval of the 1960s civil rights movement and said a far more representative cross-section of America is protesting now than as compared to half a century ago. Young protesters in particular have been galvanized, he said, and their motivation could serve as inspiration for broader change. Obama did not directly address Trump's handling of the unrest, including the president's controversial demand that authorities dominate protesters. But Obama was reportedly outraged by the use of chemical dispersant on protesters outside the White House on Monday before Trump walked to a nearby church and held up a Bible. Germany will plow 130 billion euros, which is equivalent to 146 billion US dollars, into a stimulus package to kickstart an economy severely hit by the coronavirus pandemic. Chancellor Angela Merkel on Wednesday said under the wide-ranging measures outlined in a 15-page document, value-added tax will be temporarily slashed. Families will receive 300 euros for each child, while those who purchase electric cars will see a government rebate double to 6,000 euros. The size of the package will reach 130 billion euros for 2020 to 2021, 120 billion of which will be borne by the federal government, according to Merkel. Noting that millions of employees in Germany have been put on shorter working hours, Merkel said that shows how fragile the whole thing is and why Germany must succeed in giving the economy a push so that jobs can be secured. The fresh stimulus comes on top of a massive 1.1 trillion euro rescue package already agreed in March, comprising loan guarantees, subsidies, and a beefed-up shorter hours program to avoid job cuts. To fund the unprecedented package, Parliament had approved new borrowing, marking a sea change in German economic policy, upending a financial crisis-era constitutional rule drastically limiting budget deficits. Coming up in sports, football competition may return earlier. Stay with us. The Youth and Sports Ministry has yet to set a national medal target for the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games after the preparation of athletes was postponed following the COVID-19 outbreak. Its Minister Datuk Sri Rizal American said 36 Malaysian athletes have been identified to participate in the Olympic Games, but the qualification process has been impacted due to the cancellation of the international sporting events. He added so far 12 athletes have qualified while the remaining are still attempting to qualify for the Olympic Games. Met yesterday, he said based on athletes' development after the Road to Tokyo program, which begins with the badminton training session, it is too early for him to announce any medal targets. Cycling event through Azizul Hasni Awang or badminton via Li Zijia and the doubles are potential athletes to not only contribute a medal, but could also win Malaysia's first Olympic gold medal, according to Datuk Sri Rizal American. In addition, Datuk Sri Rizal American, who is also the Kepala Batas MP, said the training permits for other sports events will be scrutinised by the Olympic Council of Malaysia, OCM, and the National Sports Council, MSN. There is a chance that professional football activities, including the Malaysian League, M-League, would return earlier than expected. Football Association of Malaysia, FAM Secretary General Stuart Ramalingam said FAM is currently preparing two paperworks involving a quarantine-based training approach for the national teams, as well as training sessions for M-League clubs for submission to the National Security Council next week. With the recent improved development of COVID-19 in the country, Stewart did not rule out the possibility that clubs could return to training as early as July, before the league resumes in August if the active number of COVID-19 cases continue to decline in the near future. Speaking yesterday, he however said FAM's plans are for the league side to train in August and play in September, adding that anything sooner is better for everybody. FAM and the Malaysian Football League, MFL, have suspended all their football activities since 16 March following the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as in compliance with the Movement Control Order, MCO. In the special ministerial meeting on the implementation of the MCO last month, the application of MFL to resume competition in August and team training session in July was not approved. Several countries, among them South Korea, Italy and Germany, which have a higher number of COVID-19 infection compared to Malaysia, have already started relaxing rules regarding their professional football leagues. South Korea's K-League was the first competition to be back in action, following by Vietnam's V-League and the Bundesliga last month, while Spain's La Liga is set to continue again on 11 June, while the English Premier League and Italy's Serie A will recommence on 17 June and 20th June. The Portuguese Primeira Liga became the second top European football league to return on Wednesday following the coronavirus lockdown, as leaders Porto fell to a surprising 2-1 loss at Famalicão. Despite the match being played behind closed doors, several Porto supporters made the short trip to congregate outside the stadium. They were left disappointed though, as their side title hopes were dealt a blow. Leaders Porto suffered a shocking 2-1 defeat at Famalicão as Portugal's Primeira Liga became the latest league to return to action following the coronavirus stoppage on Wednesday. An embarrassing mistake by Porto goalkeeper Agustin Marquezin 3 minutes after halftime gifted Famalicão the lead. The Argentines sent an attempted clearance straight to Fabio Martins, who rolled the ball into an empty net from the edge of the penalty area. Jesus Corona fired Porto level in the 74th minute, but the hosts regained the lead 4 minutes later when Pedro Goncalves left a fly from 25 meters and his shot found a gap between Marquezin and the near post. Porto also had a lucky escape in the first half when Pepe appeared to trip an opponent in the penalty area, but then also fell over and the referee waved the play on. Porto topped the table with 60 points but could lose the lead when arch-rival Benfica, who are on 1 point behind, host Tondela on Thursday. That's it from us this afternoon. In our top story, Perak to review policy on alcohol sale and consumption. News on 2 comes on at 7 this evening. I'm Azlani Adani. Thanks for watching.